What if I told you the greatest weapon of World War I wasn't a gun, not a tank, not even poison gas? It was the sky, the wind, the rain, the fog, the mud, and the kind of weather that turns an army into a ghost story. Today, we're going to ask the question no history book wants to answer out loud. In 1914, Europe was a pressure cooker. One spark, one assassination, and the whole continent exploded. But what if the real explosion was waiting in the sky? Because weather doesn't just happen, it chooses sides. Let's start with the Eastern Front. In the winter of 1914, Russia faced Germany in a brutal, frozen fight. Now imagine an army, with boots that freeze to the ground, cannons that won't fire, soldiers trapped in trenches that become ice tombs. Russia was not prepared for this, and the weather wasn't just cold, it was catastrophic. Temperatures dropped so low, men died before the bullets reached them. That winter wasn't just a season, it was a weapon. Now, let's move west. In 1917, the British launched an offensive at Passchendaele. The plan was simple: break through the German lines, win the war. But the sky had other ideas. Rain fell and fell and fell. The trenches turned into rivers. The shell holes turned into lakes. Men didn't die from bullets. They drowned. And that's the moment history should have paused. Because when the ground turns to soup, the best army in the world becomes helpless. Passchendaele wasn't just a battle. It was a weather event, with human casualties. But weather didn't just affect battles, it affected politics. In Russia, the war was already collapsing. The economy was broken, the people were starving. Then came a terrible spring. Crops failed, food shortages intensified, and the government, already weak, became untrustworthy. The weather didn't cause the revolution, but it fueled it. And once a revolution starts, the war becomes unstoppable. Now, here's where things get truly chilling. World War I introduced chemical warfare, mustard gas, chlorine, phosgene, but gas isn't a magic weapon. It's a weather weapon, because gas doesn't travel in straight lines. It rides the wind, and on more than one occasion, the wind betrayed the attackers. Gas drifted back over the trenches that released it. Allies and enemies alike were poisoned. Weather didn't just influence the war, it punished those who tried to control it. So, why doesn't history treat weather as a main character? Well, it's because weather is invisible. It doesn't have a face. But, it has power. Weather determines movement. It determines logistics. It determines survival. And in World War I, it determined the pace of the entire conflict. Now, here's the question. If weather had been different, if the rain had held off at Passchendaele, if the winter in Russia had been milder, if the wind had blown the other way, would the war have ended sooner? Would millions of lives have been saved? Or would the entire 20th century have been rewritten? World War I is remembered for trenches, tanks and poison gas, but the real villain was often the sky. Weather didn't just influence the war, it almost decided it, and that is a terrifying thought, because the sky doesn't care about borders, it doesn't care about politics, it doesn't care about strategy. If you found this video intriguing, if it made you question what you thought you knew, then hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, What other historical events were secretly controlled by weather? Because the sky is always watching.